I want you to picture a stark white map of Europe in your head.
Mm.
Just completely blank.
Okay, yeah, like a blank canvas.
Right. Now I want you to draw a thick, bright red circle around the UK.
Oh, because of Brexit.
Exactly. And now draw another massive red circle around Greece.
Right, the whole debt meltdown.
Yeah. And right in the middle of all that, picture a giant red arrow pointing aggressively down at the years 2010 to 2013.
The absolute peak of the Euro crisis.
Now, here is the question for you listening. Why is the seemingly unbreakable European Union always on the edge of just blowing up?
It's a great question because, most people think Brexit or the Greek debt crisis were just temporary hiccups.
Right, like just a bad news cycle.
Exactly. They think it's a spreadsheet error the politicians can just fix over a weekend in Brussels.
But they are dead wrong.
Oh, completely.
The real cause of the rot, it was baked in on day one. And that is exactly what we're unpacking in today's deep dive.
Yeah, we have this fascinating, deeply prophetic paper today.
It's by Michael D. Bordo and Harold James. It's called Partial Fiscalization, Some Lessons on Europe's Unfinished Business.
And Bordo and James, they literally saw this coming. They mapped the whole thing out.
They really did.
Yeah.
And our goal today is to completely shatter how you view money, how you view power.
And really the actual survival of empires.
Yeah.
Because what looks like a modern financial headache, it's actually an ancient, brutal war over money and sovereignty.
That is such a slap in the face. Let's jump right into the first major visual from their research.
Let's do it.
So imagine a massive bar chart. On the left side, you have the euro currency.
Right, which covers almost everyone. It's huge.
Exactly. It's a towering killer. But then look at the right side of the chart, the central EU budget.
Oh, boy.
Circle that in bright red, because that budget is sitting at a pathetic 1% of their total gross domestic product.
Just 1%. Think about that.
It is absurd. The founding fathers of the euro thought a single market would just magically create endless wealth.
They really did. They were spectacularly wrong.
I mean, a shared currency without a shared bank account, that's not an economy. That is a suicide pact.
It really is. I mean, look at Jacques Delors. He was the highly influential Commission president back then.
Right.
He literally assumed the EU budget would just organically grow. He thought it would hit 3% of GDP.
Wait, why 3%? That sounds so random.
It wasn't random to him. That matched the 19th century United States peacetime budget.
Oh, wow. So they just assumed they would automatically copy American history?
Exactly. But it never happened. It shrank. It got stuck at 1% permanently.
Which means when the 2010 crisis hit, they had zero centralized defense. No safety net at all.
Literally none.
I always compare this to moving in with a new roommate.
Oh, this is a great analogy.
Right. You decide to share a single credit card, but you both refuse to pool your actual cash.
And you keep your bank statements totally secret.
Yes. So when the roof leaks, what happens? Everyone just points fingers.
Nobody wants to pay for the repair.
Exactly. But why design it this way? If they knew it was fragile, why do it?
The answer is incredibly brutal. Power.
Just raw power.
Yeah. Giving up your national budget means giving up your country's ultimate sovereignty.
Imagine a massive pipeline of cash flowing from Northern Europe to Southern Europe.
Right.
Now imagine violently slashing that pipeline with a giant red X.
Because the rich nations, like Germany, they flat out refuse to sign up for that.
Right. They will not do permanent one-way wealth transfers.
Exactly. Why should they cover the debts and the high welfare systems of poorer nations?
They won't. So they wrote a rule to block it.
The Maastricht Treaty, Article 125, the no bailout clause.
But that backfired completely during the 2008 crash, didn't it?
Oh, totally. Because when the house is on fire, you have to throw water on it. Treaties be damned.
So they bailed them out anyway.
They had to. But here is the thing. You might think this is just modern European greed, right?
Yeah, that's the standard narrative.
Think again. Over 2 centuries ago, a rising superpower faced this exact same life or death crisis.
We are talking about the United States, 1790.
Yeah. We all assume America was born strong, that the ink dried on the Constitution, and boom, superpower.
But the reality is a huge slap in the face.
It really is. In 1790, America was practically bankrupt.
Picture a yellow, dusty ledger from 1790.
Full of state debts.
Exactly. The 13 states held $25 million in Revolutionary War debt.
Which was a staggering amount back then. The entire U.S. GDP was only like $158 million.
So they were on the verge of splintering, totally breaking apart.
And then Alexander Hamilton steps in. He takes a massive gamble.
He tells the federal government to just swallow all of it, every single penny of state debt.
Right, because by absorbing it, he dropped the borrowing costs from 6% down to 4%.
But it wasn't just math, was it?
No, not at all. This wasn't just finance. This was the glue of the union.
That's such a powerful phrase.
Hamilton believed that shared debt creates shared loyalty.
If the rich guys own federal bonds, they want the federal government to survive.
Exactly. But Thomas Jefferson and James Madison fought this bitterly.
Why? Because it felt like a bailout?
Totally. States like Virginia had already paid their debts. They were furious.
So Hamilton had to cut a backroom deal.
The famous dinner table compromise, he limited Virginia's liability.
And he gave them Washington, D.C., right. He moved the capital to a swamp down south just to get the deal done.
He literally bought the concept of the United States.
That is wild. He bought the country, but wait, did this glue actually hold?
You'd think so, right? But no. Flash forward to the 1840s.
Slide 5 in our mental presentation. Imagine a map of America in the 1840s.
Okay.
But 8 entire states are just blacked out. Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania, just dark.
Because Hamilton's plan triggered the ultimate human greed.
Right. Bailing out the states didn't make them responsible.
Not at all. It gave them a blank check.
They took this shiny new federal credit rating and went on a binge.
They borrowed insane amounts of money from Europe. Like Britain's Bearing Bank.
Just to build canals and railroads, right?
Yeah, massive infrastructure. But by 1841, the bubble burst.
And Mississippi flat out refused to pay. 8 states defaulted.
It caused a total constitutional meltdown.
I read this part of the paper and my jaw dropped. U.S. borrowing costs exploded into the red.
Oh, it was bad. The U.S. couldn't even sell bonds at 6%.
While much weaker nations were easily selling at 3%.
America was a global financial pariah.
And people were actually terrified the British military was going to show up.
Literally. They thought British warships would sail up the coast to collect the debt by force.
Congressman John Quincy Adams was so mad, he tried to make debt repudiation an act of treason.
Right, because trying to erase debt with a centralized magic wand actually created moral hazard.
The states just assumed Washington would always save them.
But this time, Congress refused. They did not bail them out a second time.
They let them burn. Which leads to this incredible counterintuitive truth.
Yeah, the Founding Fathers did not actually save the American economy.
Not even close. Let's
Yep.
look at the timeline. Jump from 1790 all the way to the 1930s.
The Great Depression.
Right. Because for over a century, the U.S. federal budget stayed tiny, just 1 to 3%.
Just like Europe today.
Exactly. The real savior wasn't Hamilton. It took a century and a half of pain and defaults to figure it out.
And what finally fixed it in the 1930s? 2 things.
The FDIC, the deposit insurance for banks and Social Security.
Right, that was the actual fiscal union.
And here is the brutal lesson for Europe. A true union requires 150 years of bleeding.
And Europe does not have 150 years.
They really don't. The clock is ticking right now.
So what's their survival strategy?
This is where Bordo and James introduced this genius concept, partial fiscalization.
Picture a giant euro coin, but it's shattered into 6 different pieces.
And on each piece, there's a little icon. Banks, taxes, welfare, energy, people, military.
Right, because if nations would rather die than give up total power to a superstate in Brussels.
Then you don't build a massive federal government.
Exactly, you buy targeted insurance policies instead.
You link up specific vital organs of the economy, one by one.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
But there is a massive warning label attached.
Yeah, every single one of these mini unions has a lethal trap door.
Let's start with the banking union.
Okay, picture a top-down chart of European banks, the big regulators at the top.
But the bottom tier, the local loans, is severed with a thick red line.
A crashing red arrow pointing straight down at small business credit.
Because Europe tried to unify bank regulation to stop the next 2008 crash.
But the trapdoor is obvious. If a huge bank crashes now, who pays?
Germany. And they violently oppose paying for Southern European bank failures.
But Bordo and James point out an even bigger danger.
Yeah. If you pull money out of local regional banks to build this massive European safety net,
you drain the blood out of local economies.
Small and medium enterprises, the SMEs, they are the backbone of places like Italy or the Baltics.
And suddenly, They can't get loans.
Because all the capital was sucked up to the top.
It's like taking all the water from local farming wells to fill one massive national reservoir.
Oh, that's perfect. The reservoir looks amazing and secure.
But the local crops are literally dying.
Exactly. You save the macro system, but you kill the street-level economy.
Okay, so banking is a trap. What about a tax union?
This one is fascinating. Picture gold liquid representing capital just speeding off the map.
While a solid gray rock representing land glows brightly and is frozen in place.
Right, because you cannot just create a tax union by shouting, tax the rich.
Politicians love doing that, though.
You do. France's president, François Hollande, he tried this. He pushed a massive super tax on millionaires.
And what happened? Did he get the money?
Nope. The rich instantly packed their bags and left.
Capital has legs. It just walks across the border.
Exactly. So Bordo and James highlight this brutal, brilliant solution from a 19th century thinker, Henry George.
Tax the land.
Yes, because you cannot hide a skyscraper. You cannot offshore an empty lot.
This is so smart. If you tax underutilized land, you force monopolists to either sell it or build something usable.
You force them to create value instead of just hoarding dirt.
It's economically brilliant.
It is. But property owners will fight it to the death. They have insane political power.
Which brings us to the next localized union, and this one is wild.
Direct to the wallet.
Picture two pipelines. Cash is flowing out of booming areas and into struggling ones.
But the government buildings are completely erased from the image.
The pipelines go straight into an individual citizen's wallet.
Because politicians will absolutely scream if you tell them to write a check to another country's government.
Right, it looks like a handout.
So how do you move the money without starting a political war?
You bypass the politicians entirely.
You create a personal welfare and unemployment union?
This is mind-blowing. So workers in a booming German city just pay a payroll deduction into a continental fund.
Exactly. And unemployed workers in a struggling Spanish town draw their checks directly from that same fund.
It totally removed that toxic narrative. It's no longer Germany saving Greece.
Right. It's just workers insuring other workers.
It is the lowest possible political cost, but it creates the highest social stability.
It really is an elegant bypass. But we have to talk about the physical stuff, too.
Oh, yes. Slide 11, the ultimate geopolitical weapon, energy.
And we should state right off the bat, we are strictly unpacking the author's strategic analysis here.
Absolutely, staying totally neutral. So picture a thick, blood-red Russian gas pipeline.
Gripping Eastern Europe.
And in contrast, you have scattered blue dots representing independent LNG ports in the Northwest, liquid natural gas.
Right, because a lot of people think energy is just about checking your electric bill or saving polar bears.
But the authors argue that to geopolitical predators, energy is a loaded gun pointed at the empire's head.
Relying on a single long-term pipeline strategy, like Putin's leverage over Central and Eastern Europe.
You are literally handing over your throat.
You are. So what is the defense?
Bordo and James say it's a unified energy grid and flexible spot markets.
Like the ones Northwest Europe uses.
Exactly. If you have diverse sources arriving by ship and a hyper-connected grid that can move power anywhere instantly.
You completely strip the blackmailer of their power.
The pipeline just becomes one option, not a choke point.
It's a survival imperative.
Yeah.
And speaking of survival, there's another massive crisis the authors point out.
The refugee irony.
Again, purely analyzing the systemic mechanics the authors lay out.
Right. So look at this stark bar chart. The highest levels of national bankruptcy in Europe.
Places like Greece and Italy.
They perfectly match the highest influx of refugees. Put a giant red exclamation mark right there.
It is a shocking fact. The Arab Spring, the conflicts in Syria and Libya, millions of people moving.
And the front line of Europe's greatest humanitarian crisis is being guarded by its poorest, most broken economies.
The authors argue that leaving bankrupt nations to absorb that massive financial and social cost.
It's a recipe for system collapse.
It's not about charity. It's about continent-wide defense and stability.
If the whole of Europe doesn't fund this, the front line will simply break.
It's mathematically impossible for them to hold it alone.
Okay, so we've looked at money, energy, borders, but there's a missing ingredient here.
The human element. Blood, sweat, and youth.
Because financial spreadsheets don't actually build loyalty.
No, they don't. You know it does.
What?
Shared experience. Think back to the 19th century.
Okay.
Empires used mandatory military service to force fractured populations to feel like one nation.
Oh, wow. Conscription. You put them in a uniform and suddenly they aren't strangers anymore.
Exactly. Bordo and James suggest Europe might actually need a joint military to create that identity today.
And it would save massive amounts of money, too.
But there is a less militaristic option they push even harder, a youth union.
Cross-national apprenticeships.
Yeah. Look at a demographic pyramid. Europe is top-heavy. It's aging fast.
But if you have green arrows showing young people fluidly bouncing across borders for work...
That changes everything. Ireland and Poland prove this.
Right. When young people leave, gain skills abroad, and eventually return home.
It injects massive economic adrenaline into their home country. Brain circulation.
But more importantly, it builds the social glue.
Exactly. If the everyday 20-year-old doesn't actually feel European...
Then all of these financial treaties are just worthless pieces of paper. They will be torn up the second a crisis hits.
Which brings us to the final boss fight, the grand bargain.
How do you actually make them swallow the pill?
Picture a massive scale. On one side, furious factory owners who are losing out on a reform.
And on the other side, a giant gift-wrapped box labeled compensation.
And the scale balances perfectly.
Because if all these partial unions are so great, why is everyone fighting them?
Because every reform creates immediate losers. And those losers scream loudly.
While the winners are spread out and totally quiet.
Right. So the authors look at the history of international trade for the solution.
The 1930s Smoot-Hawley tariff disaster.
They tried to pass protections piece by piece, and it choked the global economy.
Versus the highly successful reciprocal trade agreements.
Exactly. You cannot pass these painful laws one by one.
You have to bundle them into a massive, complex, grand bargain. Wait, so it's basically legalized bribery?
Essentially, yes. It is how the world works.
Give me a historical example of that.
Bismarck. He created the modern welfare state in Germany.
Right.
But he didn't do it out of kindness. He did it to compensate workers for expensive food tariffs he had to pass.
Oh, wow. So you bundle the pain of the tariff with the payoff of the pension.
And suddenly, nobody dares vote against it. You have
Yeah.
to tie everything together so walking away hurts too much.
This is an incredible blueprint, which brings us to the final slide. The ticking clock of history.
Just a pure white screen. In the center, a clock with no hands, slowly spinning.
And below it, a graph mapping the 1930s economic crash perfectly over today's global currency wars.
Because this isn't just about Europe. This is the ultimate playbook for human power and capital.
The fight between sovereign survival and centralized power is repeating perfectly.
America in 1790. Europe today.
But now it is going global. U.S. strong dollar policies, friction over trade pacts, currency wars.
Nations artificially devaluing their money just to steal an advantage.
Bordo and James point out that the Great Depression led to a world war because nations couldn't figure out how to adjust their currencies and share the pain.
They turned inward and the whole system broke.
I want to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought.
Yeah, really think about this.
Look at your own country. Look at your local government or even your industry.
Are you relying on a single currency of trust without having a shared budget of sacrifice?
When the next massive, unavoidable crisis hits, whether it is AI replacing jobs or climate migrations forcing millions to move,
will our global institutions look like Alexander Hamilton's flawed, desperate 1790 gamble?
Or are we destined to repeat the defaults, the panic, and the chaos of the 1840s?
It's a terrifying question.
Because the clock is still spinning, and none of this is as stable as you think.